Hi, everybody. I'm actually really excited to speak to you because I think last time was after the draft, and just excited for this period of this training camp that felt literally like 2 months that is finally wrapping up, and excited for Cincy.
At the Combine, you said you would be involved in virtually every transaction, draft, free agent. Did it turn out that way?
Yes.
So you're pleased with what you've done and contributed?
I think everything we do is a collaborative effort. We work as a team, and Andrew does an excellent job of being very comprehensive and collaborative in how we work. So I think it's been a team effort, but so far we're pleased with what we've seen of camp, and we're just looking forward to seeing the team in the regular season.
Catherine, you know as well as anyone what a Jim Schwartz defense looks like. What have been your impressions of the way he's kind of forming into what you had in Philadelphia?
I mean, Jim is amazing. He's a unique person, extremely smart. He's just been honestly getting the best out of our players, just by the way, the discipline he brings on that side of the ball, the way he coached, the way he keeps our defense simple, but in a way that players can play fast. I mean, you've heard this, the whole seatbelt off. You've heard that, I'm sure, plenty of times. So, I mean, that's just what we've been seeing, and I think it's been really, really nice to see the players embrace this change.
How did the D-line move additions that you guys made in this offseason fit so well with what Jim wants to do?
I think, one thing we pride ourselves into is being strong in the trenches. So that's both on the offensive line and the defensive line. So one of our key objective in the offseason was to add some depth there and really be strong with guys that are athletic, can get off the ball. And I think that's what we're seeing from them this training camp.
We haven't talked to you since the Darius trade.
Mm-hmm.
So just, I guess, what can he add, and then how kind of bonus is it when it happens kind of late in the cycle?
I think twofold. One, off the field, he adds a ton. He's a veteran, he's been around, and I think it's just good for our young players, what he brings into that room. And the second fold is obviously on the field. You've seen it through preseason. He's going to be a problem for opposing offense. He can get off the ball, he can penetrate, he can set an edge, he can sub inside. So I think there's just going to be so much flexibility that he provides for our defense, and I think it's just going to be positive for the front.
Did the Browns consider Robbie Gould at all as a kicking alternative?
I mean, when we go through any position, not just kickers, we really dig deep and really do not leave any stone unturned. So we've considered a variety of options, both trade, free agents, potential claim through the waiver wire, addition to practice squad. So we've really contemplated a very broad group.
Kevin just told us Deshaun is one of the team captains. Just from your perspective, what have you seen as far as his evolution from the day he walked in the door with this franchise to now where he's one of the leaders of the team officially?
I mean, to see how Deshaun has integrated himself into the team has just really been impressive. To be able to be with us this entire offseason program and really build connection with his teammates and be able to gain their trust and do everything he's done, I think has been great, and he's been just great to be around.
I'm sure there's always a lot of discussion on a lot of the players as you're getting down to the 53. How many, if you had to ballpark it, how many of those were really difficult decisions in terms of this one or this person or that person?
I mean, it's a good question because, quite frankly, they're all difficult, and I know it's a cheesy answer because everybody's telling you, yeah, we wish we could keep 90, and it's actually true. We just can't. But I think they're always hard because when you think about it, for some, we think of some of the undrafted free agents that made our roster, that's the best news of their week. But for others, you're pretty much putting a dent into their dreams and their careers. But what we always hope is when they do put that film out there in preseason, yes, it's a job interview for us, but it's a job interview for 31 other clubs. And I think that we always hope that they're going to go and find another opportunity somewhere else.
Kevin acknowledged that the role of backup quarterback is different. It's not like just competing for a roster spot. So why is the organization so confident that DTR can serve that role during the regular season?
That's a great question. I think the work we've done through the college process, so through the draft, we did a ton of work on him, and we felt pretty good about our evaluation. But as you know, quarterback development takes time, and I think overconfidence in that space is not a strategy. So I think we're still learning. We're still supporting him in his development, but we're just very pleased with what he's done so far, and we'll do everything we can to support him and make sure that continues through the regular
Does
season.
that contribute to bring a veteran in to practice squad?
I think like we were just looking to complete that room, and PJ just fit really well what we were looking to add, and I think he can only help with his experience, not just in the NFL but even in the XFL. I think that's going to be a nice breadth of experience that he'll bring.
What are your thoughts on Elijah Moore throughout this whole training camp?
I mean, Elijah's had a really, really nice preseason. I think when you have a guy like him, I mean, you've seen how the coaches have been using him in multiple different ways. I just think you want him to get the ball because he's just really good with it in his hands. So it's just been a very, very pleasant surprise, and we're looking forward to see what he does in the regular season.
Catherine, with Martin Emerson, I mean, it seems like he's kind of already grown a lot in the preseason when we've seen him. With his physical style, like how well do you think he fits into this system, and what kind of growth have you seen from him?
I think really well. Like Jim will tell you, the amount of men coverage that he's looking forward to play. I think MJ fits really well what he wants to do, and he's had like a tremendous progression from last year coming in as a rookie, and then all the way through this year. We just keep seeing it arrow up, so it's been super encouraging and very positive.
After with the contract restructuring you guys have done lately, why now? Like, why is this the time you guys like to do it?
In terms of like our strategy when it comes either player acquisition or contract management, we're very thorough, diligent, and aggressive. And I think for us it's about creating flexibility so that we can do what we want to do, operate at any point in time.
Does it feel like you guys do more of that than other teams?
Everyone has their own strategy. I can't really comment on how they go about it. I just know that we try to find ways to get an edge wherever we can find one.
As an organization, are you guys approaching Denzel Ward's concussion any differently than you would anyone else, given that this was the fourth time he has suffered a head injury as a Brown?
I mean, from a medical standpoint, I'm not going to comment on anything specific. All I can say is that our medical team follows the protocols that need to be followed, regardless if it's 1, 4, 6. There's a protocol, and they follow it.
It may be anecdotal, but it seems like there was a lot more volatility in the kicking market this preseason. Are teams being more aggressive in finding weaknesses in that specific spot now than maybe compared to 5-10 years ago?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think if you look just over the past couple of years, the margin of these games, like how little they are to win the games, like how many points you need to win them, I think it's small, and it really goes back to complementary ball and making sure that all three phases contribute, and that's no difference for specialists and for special team and specialists. So I think there's just probably like an emphasis on that and making sure that all three phases can contribute.
Considering the challenges of kicking in this particular stadium, especially late in the year, how does that impact your processes when you're trying to find, obviously in this case you found Dustin and you feel like he's the guy to do that, but just this being, as he put it, a notorious place to kick in the league, how complex does that make it for you guys?
Yeah, we definitely take all of this into consideration when we do think about transaction and what we want to do here. I think it's hard, it's hard to kick in multiple places in this league as well. So I think like when we think about it, we thought that Dustin was someone that would be reliable and has been accurate throughout his career, and that's definitely something that weighed into the balance of the decision.
We know there's always turnover. We know that every year. 24 new players. Is that more a product of the coordinator changes than anything, do you think?
I would say it's really a product of us every year looking through our roster and making sure we put the best product together, to be honest with you. Like I think that's our job in personnel to make sure we give the coaches the best tools we can get, and whether that means 24 turnover or 10, those are things that we just want to make sure we have the best roster in place.
What did you guys see from Jerome Ford as a rookie? Even though he didn't get a ton of time on offense, they gave you confidence that he could be the number 2 guy?
I think like Jerome has had a very nice progression in getting more comfortable in our scheme and just by nature of time spent in the meeting room and with the coaches. He's just, again, shown progression every step of the way, both on field or in the classroom, and I think those were things that helped the coaches with feeling comfortable.
You guys have
certainly been comfortable using draft picks to bring in veterans like Darius, Amari, Elijah, go through the list. Why do you think teams are more comfortable kind of giving up draft capital like you guys have to bring in veterans or solidify their roster like that?
I think it's about like using any of your assets to figure out the best way to put the best roster together. So whether that's draft capital, whether that's a player for player trade like we've done recently, it's really just about exploring every single opportunity that we have. And then you kind of also take into account like the probabilities and you know where you see those draft picks potentially being used in the future, and then how does that balance with acquiring a player for now? So kind of like that balance of like wanting to be competitive and successful now, but also not forgetting the future as well.
How difficult is that balance of being aggressive and going after what you want and kind of waiting around and seeing how the chips may fall?
It is. That's why we're here. That's why Andrew is so good at it. I think it's a matter of always having a long-term plan, but never losing sight of the short term because we're here to win.
There's no such thing as a last one. There's no such thing as a perfect roster in the NFL, but now that you're through the major transaction cycle here, just how do you feel in general about where this team is positioned?
I think we feel good about where we're positioned in the sense of like we had goals and objectives we wanted to hit through the off season, and we did. But now, you said it in your question, like no roster is ever perfect, and we will continue to work through improvements and really developing our young players and making sure they're ready if their name is ever called up from the practice squad. So really, like that work is really never done, to be honest with you.